Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Every Day is Friday Podcast 365. I'm your host, Matthew, and remember to subscribe so you can join me on this journey where every day is Friday. Come on now, hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. Today, I got a really special guest joining us, Ron Stevens. He's a IFBB pro bodybuilder, an online coach for men 40 and over, and a real example of what hard work looks over time. In 2023, he qualified for Masters Mr. Olympia, and I'm really excited to dig into his mindset and what it really takes to stay elite shape. Let's jump right into it, Ron. Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, how you doing, and how's life been treating you lately?
Everything's been going good. I completed the 3 shows this summer, and now I'm kind of getting back into normal life and normal eating, and well, normal for me. For most people, that'd be probably really strict. And I'm enjoying some time with my family and some friends down here. And I'm in San Diego right now, visiting my family for Christmas. And then I'll be heading back to Vegas shortly here to get back into my work life and training and so forth.
Yeah, for the listeners who may not be familiar with your line of work yet, can you give us a quick rundown of who you are and what you do?
Okay. I'm a personal trainer. I've been personal training since early 90s. I was certified through the National Academy of Sports Medicine, and since then I've been training people in person primarily, and in the last year and a half, I've been pivoting more to online coaching and doing more of that. So that's what my focus is now, and then hiring mentors, business partners to help me sort of level up in that part of that space.
And, your body, you are in elite shape. Everyone's story starts somewhere. I mean, how did your journey into bodybuilding first begin?
It started in my early 20s when I was, I would go to the gym and work out, and I always used to pick up the muscle magazines and look at the guys. And when you're a teenager or early 20s, you're always impressed by how those guys look in the magazines and thinking that was something that was unattainable. And so I started training in the gym with a friend who was a bodybuilder, and he was getting ready for a contest. So he asked me to jump in and train with him. And so I started training with him, and I started making a lot of progress immediately. So much so that I jumped in the show with him, and I ended up getting second place in my first contest without really any kind of bodybuilding knowledge or training or background at all. That's how I
Wow.
started.
Uh, You know, when did you realize you had what it takes to go pro?
Well, a long time. I mean, I competed for many years. I ended up doing 55 shows before I turned pro. So I wouldn't say that I knew that I wouldn't say that I thought that I had what it took. I knew I had really good genetics, and that I kept getting better and better as I went along. And, I was married when I was in my early 20s, and that I kind of took a back seat with my bodybuilding then, and I raised a family. And then I got back into it later on, and then I started making more of a push, and I hired a coach to help me. And I always had potential. I would place well at top level shows. I wouldn't win, but back then in the 90s and early 2000s, bodybuilding was different than it is now. It was a lot harder. There was a lot better competitors, a lot better quality competitors. So I had to kind of move up the ranks and got better and better. And then I got to the point where I placed third in North Americans. That was my first breakthrough. And then after that, I hired an even better coach to help me. And then eventually I broke through, and I won the Universe 2019 overall, heavyweight and overall, to earn my IFBB pro card.
Ron, I got to ask you, because you've done this for so many years now. I mean, how does bodybuilding, competitive, bodybuilding compare to back then to now?
There was back then there wasn't a lot of divisions like there is now. There now we have like men's physique, we have classic, we have 212, we have all these different divisions that have kind of watered down the sport. Back then it was just bodybuilding alone. So the depth of competitors, the quality was much harder back then. And so because of that, you would go do a local show and there would be anywhere from 5 to 10, 12 guys in a division just for amateur shows. Forget about the nationals or the USAs. You go to a show and there would be, 25, 30 guys. And the only person that turns pro is the winner. So the depths and the quality of competitors back then was far different than today. Far different.
You know, big goals come with big sacrifices, especially in your line of work. I mean, what's the hardest part of becoming an IFBB pro bodybuilder?
The hardest part is managing your life, organizing your training and your nutrition around having a normal, busy life. People, you still have a job, you still go to school, you still, have to balance everything out, and then be persistent. It doesn't happen overnight. Be consistent for years and years and years, because to develop that level of physique doesn't happen in months. It happens in years. And just being consistent with your training and your eating, and then you have setbacks here and there. Life comes up, life gets in the way. I've had injuries, some major injuries that required surgery, where in some cases most people would have quit and said, okay, that's enough. And I just kept pushing through it and diligently, and until I ended up reaching my goal.
For the listeners out there in your line of work, Ron, what does discipline mean to you?
Means to me that you don't stop ever. You always keep no matter how you feel, you stick through it. A lot of people might feel a certain way. Oh, I'm tired today. Oh, I didn't sleep well last night. Oh, I worked a long day. And those are the people that a lot of times, if they don't have discipline, will just say, oh, I'm not going to go to the gym today. I'm not going to go do my cardio. Oh, it's easier for me just to eat this. Right. And I think what discipline means is that no matter what comes up in front of you, you don't let your emotions get in the way. You just you do what needs to be done.
Now, how do you stay motivated when, how do you stay like consistent, and how do you stay motivated when, it's motivation is low and when you don't want to go to the gym?
I've always been that way. I've always been disciplined. So I think for me, it's just sort of an innate quality that I have. I've always been able to push through days I didn't feel like going, because I have days too where I don't feel like going. And yeah, it got to the point with me where I would feel worse if I didn't go than if you know, so I would show up sometimes. And also too, I had moments where I remember some moments where I didn't sleep well, didn't eat well, was tired, still went to the gym, and in some cases had some of the best workouts I've ever had in my life on days I didn't expect to do much in the gym. I just showed up because I had a partner or a buddy that was there waiting for me, and I would show up, and in some cases I'd have the best workouts unplanned just because I showed up, instead of taking the easy way out and just staying home.
That reminds me of a story Michael Phelps shared, and he said, those hard days, he showed up 500 plus days in a row. Even the days he didn't want to
Yeah.
go, he showed up, and sometimes those were the best workouts, like you just said.
Yes, exactly. I can recall a leg workout I had, and I had like 3 hours of sleep. Normally, I eat about 2 or 3 times before I train. I only ate once, so I didn't sleep, didn't eat. And my buddy was there waiting for me, and he called me up and he said, "Hey, are we going to train?" I said, "Yeah. Let me just pull it together and get there." So I did, and it was one of my most momentous workouts I've ever had in terms of strength, in terms of how many reps I did, hit some PRs and some exercises that I never thought I would. And afterwards I said, well, I just kind of smiled to myself going, hey, there's no excuse. You just got to show up.
Yes, that's the truth. No excuses. And, you got to keep chasing after those dreams you have, and like you got to push forward, keep pushing, past your limits. I mean, especially in the gym. I mean, what about the gym that keep pushing and pulling you back every single day?
Well, first of all, I enjoy training. It's always been a passion for me. I enjoyed doing it even when I was a teenager, all the way up to today. And so I think it's like when you complete a workout, there's nothing like that feeling of doing your best to completing it, and then feeling like you're steadily making progress, like brick upon brick upon brick upon brick. And so I think that I'm able to really, internalize that mindset really well. And I think that's helped me along the whole way.
Ron, I work out myself, and my brother, I work out with him a lot. And there's something about after a workout, you get this pump and you feel good. Why do
Mhm.
bodybuilders like chase the pump so much?
Exactly what you said. It feels good. Your muscles sort of swell up larger than normal. And, you look in the mirror and you're like, wow, I've done this, or I look like this. And, you hope that it stays like that for a while, but it doesn't necessarily. So and then I eat correctly. I train, I take recovery days off. I have my workouts staggered and scheduled a certain way over the years that I found what works best for me. And so that's basically I've been able to figure it out. I think I have the blueprint for me, for what works for me. And I can impart a lot of that to some of my clients and some people that I train, about what works, because I know, because I've done it. I've been there. I've done that. I've I've done every diet. I've done every workout program, over the years, and I have a good idea what works, and I'm able to help people out now with their workouts and their lifestyle, their fitness lifestyle, because of it.
Having a pump like that feeling is so powerful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, especially if it's if it's a good area, like if you have good arms or you have good shoulders, and that area pumps up. You're like, that was good.
Ron, with that being said, I mean, what are some of your favorite workouts right now?
Well, I tore my leg, my quad 2 years ago. So I had a major injury. And so my legs used to be a strong point. And so I couldn't train legs for basically over a year. And so my idea now is getting my legs back to where they were before. And I think they're almost there. So I enjoy, I enjoy training back exercises, legs, of course. Shoulders are an easy body part for me, so I don't train my shoulders very often because they're probably the best responding area for me. So back was one of my weakest points, and years ago I started training back twice a week to get my back up to par, and so so the whole goal is to be complete everywhere, right? So for bodybuilding, at least purposes, you want to be complete. So when you're up there on stage, the judges look at you like, this person's got a complete physique, doesn't have really any missing body parts.
Can you unpack this for us, Ron? I mean, in 2023, you qualified for Masters Mr. Olympia, but you got injured. What happened?
I was 13 weeks out from the Masters Mr. Olympia. So back then, they had to. It was the first time they've had it in years. So it was supposed to be held in Romania. It was held in Romania, and so I applied for it based on my credentials and my past wins and some of the shows I've done. And so I ended up qualifying for it based on my pedigree. And I was one of 19 guys that got chosen. And so I got chosen in April, and then I started my training right then. I was waiting to see if I was going to get selected, and I got selected. And so I started my training then, and then May 31st, so just about 6 weeks later, I injured my quad in the gym training, doing some pendulum squats, going down a little too low, a little too heavy. But I think it was more just a wear and tear, injury. So I ruptured my quad tendon right off the bone. It ruptured, and so my quad rolled up toward my knee, up toward past my knee, and so it started swelling up, crazy swell, and then I had to get an MRI. I had to get two MRIs because the first one I got a few days later, there was so much swelling and blood there they couldn't even see. So I had to wait 2 weeks and get another one done. And the MRI said it was ruptured, and it would take it would require major surgery and then like extensive rehab after that.
Wow, that is truly incredible. I mean, how did your recovery teach you about your body?
Well, what had happened, it was such a severe injury that I thought I was done. Most people don't come back from something like that. Not only do you don't maybe not get your strength and your strength back, but in some cases with bodybuilding too, you could ruin your aesthetics because an area won't look the same as it did prior to an injury. So that's what might be different than other sports where if you tear your ACL and if you're a football player and you get it, reattached and you go through the therapy, you're wearing pads so people can't see how your leg looks. Well, in bodybuilding, they're going to see how your leg looks. And if your leg doesn't look right, if the symmetry looks off, if the muscle was torn a certain way that makes it look funny, that definitely impacts how you look on stage. So I was concerned with how I was going to look. I was concerned with how I was going to get my strength back. I had some setbacks. I had some blood clotting behind my knee, so I had to take some blood thinning medication for that because of there was so much blood behind the knee that held back there. And my orthopedic surgeon probably should have put me on blood thinners and maybe some compression stockings right away, but he didn't. He kind of treated me like a regular person instead of like a athlete. And athletes would have done that protocol, I think. So I developed blood clotting, so I had to take blood thinners. So it put me out for over a year. I mean, I couldn't even bend my leg for 6 months, hardly. I had a brace on, and I couldn't bend it at all. And I had to, walk up and down the stairs sideways, and I couldn't. Had to get it in my car, kind of all the way propped back. It was tough. It was all right, but I still worked out during this time. I just did upper body. So I would go to the gym and I'd go to, I couldn't pick up plates and carry plates and put them on machines because I didn't have any stability in my knee and to pick something up and carry it. So I would just do machines, selectorized machines with a stack and just put the pin in. And so I did a lot of upper body work. Nothing crazy, just like 3 days a week, every other day. No legs. Then eventually I started doing my other leg just to kind of get it going. Because I have a friend that he got his master's degree in exercise physiology, and he was telling me that he wrote his thesis on where if you train one side of the body, the other side of the body will catch up. I forgot the exact term for it. There's a science term, but if one side is injured, you train the other side, and the other side gets the same signaling as the side that's working. And then what happens is when you do heal up, it catches up quicker to the other side in terms of healing. So I started training my other leg too. That was something else I did. I'd go to the gym and just train my right leg, all like one-legged movements, unilateral movements. So I never really got sorry for myself. Maybe for a week after the injury, I was, sad or whatever. What am I going to do kind of thing. But then after that, I was like, okay, let's get going.
Yeah, you hop back right on that horse again. I mean, what
Yeah.
what did you need right for you to step back on stage?
Well, what ended up happening is that after I was back training again and I was starting to work my leg again and my strength was coming back slowly and I was doing some rehab work, it started to improve and it was getting better. And I was already had in my mind that I was retiring because I'm like, thinking, I don't think I'm going to be able to get my legs back because my legs, I had really strong developed legs beforehand. And I'm thinking it's going to be too hard to get back to that level, especially at my age. If I was in my 20s or something, it might be different, but I didn't think I would be able to do it. So I just kept at it, kept at it, kept at it. And I just got better and better, stronger and stronger to the point where I said, okay, I'm going to start dieting and I'm going to start training like I'm getting ready for a show, even though I wasn't. And so I did. And that was 2024. That whole year, I wasn't competing or trying to, I just was trying to get back in shape again. And I got back in tremendous shape. So much so that people in the gym were thinking, oh, you getting back on stage again? And then my coach found out. He found out he found out through some pictures that I had posted, and he's texted me. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you thinking about doing this again?" I said, "Well," he goes, "I think you still got it." And he goes, let's talk about it. So then we talked about it, and then I mapped out 3 shows last year, and then that's when I got back on stage again last year.
I get that. I mean, timing is
Or this
everything.
year. I'm sorry, early this year.
Yeah, like I said, like I get that. Timing is everything. You had to build your body back up to that degree of, elite status. I mean, what did another bodybuilding competition mean to you personally?
And it meant to me that I got back. I got back to where I was before. That's what it meant. And that that felt good, and going through the whole rigors of everything, because it's not just the competing on stage. I like the whole rigors behind it, the whole the dieting, the days of cardio, the sacrifice. I enjoy all that. Actually, I know that sounds odd, but it makes me feel like I'm doing something that other people don't want to do, aren't willing to do, can't do. And so there's something to that you just feel like you're better. So when you're getting ready for a show, in an odd way, it makes you feel like you're bettering yourself every day. You're getting better every day, and you're improving every day, which is a good feeling. It's a good, whatever it is, whether you're, whether you're at work and you're doing a project at work, or whether you're writing a paper in school and you feel like you're almost completed with it, or you're studying for a test and you finish the test, you just feel like you're bettering yourself. And so that's what it meant to me, is that I was bettering myself, getting back to where I was before, and like a culmination of all the hard work. And I posted a little bit online. I probably didn't do enough. People just told me I should have posted more about my story, but I was I was more concerned with just the day to day of it. I know it would have been better for social media if I was saying, "Oh, day 1, day 2, day 3." I know that would have been probably interesting for people to watch, but I kind of kept my head down and just kept going. That was more of my approach this time around.
Ron, can you break this down for me and for the listeners? I mean, what does it really take to prepare for a bodybuilding competition?
Okay. Well, it, what it starts with, if you have a coach, I recommend for people that want to do it, they should have a coach, someone that's been there, done that, and can guide you. I even have a coach, even though I know how to do it, and how to get myself ready. I have a coach too, just even Tiger Woods has a swing coach, or Roger Federer had a coach. Even the top athletes have coaches to help them, to guide them, to see little intricate things that they're doing wrong or right, to keep them kind of in line. And so usually what it takes is about 16 weeks to 20 weeks, depending on where your starting point is. And what I mean by starting point is what type of shape you're in, what's your body fat levels. And if your body fat levels are higher, then you have to start further away from the show. And usually for me to get in top shape is like 16 weeks out, because I like to be ready about 3 weeks beforehand. So if I really had to do the 12-week diet, I could do it. So I start 16 weeks out, and with a nutrition plan and a cardio plan in place. And then as the weeks get closer to the show, then we cut back on the food, we increase the cardio. The training becomes a little more intense, and that's all the way leading up to the show. So that's how it works.
You know, what would surprise most people about competition in bodybuilding?
Well, most people, well, I could tell you from people that I've trained who have done shows, at the end of it, they didn't realize how extensive it was. They didn't realize they had to pose, they had to do all this cardio, they had to eat right and eat correctly, that there would be so many days that they would be tired, and they have to push through it. Most people just think, oh, they just train, they eat healthy, they put a little oil on, they go up on stage. You got to learn how to pose correctly. You have to, you know, you have to get conditioned to pose, because posing is difficult to do. So you have to actually, go through weeks and weeks of conditioning your body to be able to hold poses X amount of seconds. So a lot of times people work with a posing coach too. So it's expensive. It can be, to eat, chicken and and turkey and beef and fish. Going to the store to get that, is expensive. And all the things that are required to get ready for a show. If you travel, you have to go, you have to book your airline flights and your hotels. And I get my food delivered. So I have a meal prep company that sponsors me. So I get my food. Um, I'm sponsored by them. So they take care of my food. And so that helps me. That's a huge expense. That helps me. But I would say that most people don't understand what it encompasses, all the things that it encompasses getting ready for a show. And, then afterwards, everyone says the same thing. I didn't realize it was that extensive. I didn't realize I had to do all these things, and it would take all these weeks of being consistent. You know, another thing is it's 24/7. It's not like other sports where if you go play basketball, you can go out for pizza afterwards, or if you're a baseball player, afterwards they go out and have a beer, or whatever. You can't do that in bodybuilding. You're like always on. You're always on. You can't go out and after you have a hard workout, you can say, "Oh, I'm going to go out and have some chicken wings and some beer," because I treat myself for the hard workout. It's not like that. You go back home and eat your fish and vegetables. So after a hard workout, so that's people don't understand the extensive sacrifice for 6 weeks. 16 weeks is 4 months. That's a long time.
Yeah, there's a lot into it to train your body, mind, and soul into bodybuilding.
Hmm. A lot of it. And that's what people don't understand until after a show. I'm used to it. I know what it takes. I've done it. I think I've done 65 shows. Yeah, 65. So I know exactly what it takes when I sign up for it. I know how long and what it's going to take and everything.
I want to jump into your coaching side of things now. I mean, what's
Okay.
one of the biggest mistakes men 40 plus make in the gym?
They train like they're 20. They, they, they train with their ego. And when you're in your 20s, everyone that trains in their 20s wants to see how much they can lift, how much they can squat, how much they bench press. They're over there using more weight than they should handle with incorrect form. And you can get away with it a little bit when you're in your 20s because your tendons, your joints, ligaments are fresh and they haven't been, beaten up. Someone in their 40s, that's not the case. And you have to train smarter, not harder. And so that's what I preach to men that I train over 40, taking more recovery days, learning how to feel the exercise when you're doing it, not just lift it from point A to point B with as much weight as you can handle. So I would say those are the things that people over 40 do wrong. And their mindset, it's almost like you have to kind of change your mindset from what you've been doing. And so I spent a lot of time talking to them about that. And normally they always listen to me because of, I have the credibility because I'm over 40 and had to do this. I used to train like a maniac in my 20s and try to use as much weight as I could. And it's taken time for me to adjust to that, primarily from, getting injured and from just being smarter and just knowing that, if you train at that pace, you're not going to last. So I would say that's the number one thing.
Can you break that down for me? I mean, how should men's training change as they get older?
Well, a lot of times with men over 40, they like to do the old bro split where they do like the back biceps, chest, shoulders, legs, you know, um, triceps, biceps, triceps, or whatever, like the old split. What I have guys over 40 do is I'd have them do more of a unconventional split. But maybe I'll do like a push day or a pull day, like chest, shoulders, and tries. I'll combine 2 or 3 muscle groups on one day. Uh, um, and then I'll have them do like a day off and then maybe some legs. And on the leg day, we do like lower body work. We do like lower back work. We do like calves. We'll do some more stretching. I also have them do more mobility work. So we do like a day where we just do stretching. I don't necessarily do that with them. I will do it with them once and I'll teach them how to do some stretching and different type of mobility work. And then once they learn how to do it, then I have them do it on their own. like on a Saturday, on a Wednesday, kind of an off day. And then, I'll have them do like, upper body day, a lower body day, a push day, pull day, then another day where they do, a little bit of back, a little bit of, rear delts, traps, biceps. So I split it up more. It's not so concentrated. It's more split up. It's more set up for recovery. And like I said, I have mobility work in there. I also have them do more cardio than they would normally. So it's good for their metabolism, is good for their heart. The type of cardio doesn't really matter to me as long as they do something. So I'm really cognizant of that, of saying, okay, make sure you get all your cardio days in. It doesn't matter what days you do them, as long as you're getting in 4 days a week or 5 days a week or whatever I pick. It's all, a lot of it is also dependent on their goals too. Some people who want to build more muscle will go a little heavier. Most people just want to stay in shape and just look good and feel good. So we're not concerned necessarily with pushing heavy weight. It's more about getting in and getting a good workout and getting out.
Yeah, for a listener out there that is interested in working with Coach Ron, his information will be in the description down below. Reach out to him. You feel more than welcome to reach out and, get in contact with him. And, can you share a story about a client you helped that was 40 plus years old?
Yeah. I could share two of them. One of them was a competitor. He wanted to do a contest, sort of a bucket list. And so when I first started with him, he was one of those guys. He was 51 or 52, early 50s. And he came to me and said he wanted to do a contest, never had. And he was kind of a thick guy, strong. But when I started training with him, I said, he told me, okay, this exercise, I usually do this much weight. This exercise, I do this much weight. This exercise, I do this much weight. And I said, okay, that's really good, but we're going to go a lot less weight. And he goes, why? Like, this is what I usually handle. I said, because I want to see your form. I want to see your technique. And so what I found out is he was just like pushing away, like I said, from point A to point B, not feeling it, not controlling the weight, just trying to move it. And so I had to change his thinking into using less weight and more control. And we did a lot of different modalities as far as changing the tempo of the lifts and the speed of the lifts and more control. And so he got a lot more out of it. He started feeling his muscle better. He started losing, he started developing better. He was sore more often, like for the first time. And along with that, I wrote him out a diet, nutrition plan. And anyways, he ended up doing a bodybuilding show, and his family all came out and visited from all across the country. And he ended up, he got like 3 medals. He did a local amateur show, and he ended up losing, let's see, he was 207 and he got down to 152. So what's that? 55 pounds, something like that. So he lost 55 pounds in like, I would say overall 7 months, 6 months. So he completely looked different, like a different person altogether.
That's amazing. I mean, that consistency really changes a person.
Yeah, and he was one of those guys too. His personality type was really suited for bodybuilding because he was like, okay, you tell me what to do and I'll do it. You tell me what to do and I'll execute it. That's the best type of client to have. They don't ask why. They trust you. They know that I know what I'm talking about. They don't ask too many questions. They ask questions, but hey, why is this better than this? Or why is this food better than this? Or things like that nature. But I told him what he needed to do and he did it. And we, as he got closer to the show, we just ramped things up and ramped things up and ramped things up. And he executed like he did, I told him to. And he ended up losing all that weight and completely changed his body from over 20% body fat to single digits. I think he was down like around 5%, and he was over 20% before, completely like 25%. And we would take his body fat every 6 weeks or so and see where he was at. So he felt like he was like on track. And so he's a big success story for me. Another guy was not trying to compete. He was just a lifestyle guy. They just wanted to get back in shape. And and I had him lose 80. Let's see, he was 325, and he got down to like 235. So he lost just about 90 pounds, this guy. And it took him longer. It was about almost a year to lose that. But and he cheated every once in a while. He wasn't like the most consistent client of mine. You know, he would sneak off and eat this and Hershey kisses every once in a while, and like burritos and things like that. But eventually, once he saw that he was making progress, he got going and he got really consistent. And then he again transformed his whole life to over a period of, it was closer to a year, because he wasn't as diligent as my other client was, and he wasn't doing a contest. So because he wasn't doing a contest, I wasn't as hard on him as I would be the guy that get ready for the show. Because once you tell me you want to do a show, then I take it more seriously, and I'm like, okay, well, you can't screw around, and you can't make mistakes. Like, you have to stay on it. And the other guy, he made mistakes here and there, but he was doing most everything right. And so I said, okay, let's just keep at it. You know, it's all right. You screwed up this weekend or whatever, but let's get back at it this next week. And I think that'd be like how most people would be. But as he saw that he was making more progress and doing better and better and better, he got more strict. And he realized that the more strict he got, the faster his results would come. And yeah, he did really well, and he was a success. He was a success story for me also.
You know, mindset is so powerful. And, you know, I interviewed Ethan, and he is on a journey. He started out as being very heavy. He was weighing over 660 pounds, and he's on a weight loss journey right now, and he's cutting and cutting. And, you know, you have to have a why. And his why was for his future wife and kids. And just same story as you. I mean, his why was he wanted to compete. You know, he wanted to go into competition. He wanted to be a bodybuilder. And then the other story is like, you have to have some type of stronger mindset to, you know, achieve these goals.
Yeah, a lot of times people have to have a date. They have a reunion, or they have a vacation to go on,
Or a
or they
wedding.
have or a wedding, or they have a wedding to go to. And I think that's very helpful, because then you have a date that's out there that you have to be ready by, because otherwise, you know, I could skip this week. Oh, I could skip my cardio this week, you know, because that's what people will fall into, that trap. But if you have an event that you actually have to be ready for, you know, it rolls around fast. It comes fast. You know, you're 20 weeks out. Now you're 6 weeks out. You're like, oh shoot, like it's coming up quick, you know? So, yeah, usually I'll tell people that, like I said, is there a reason why, you know, you're trying to, you know, lose this much weight, you know, and they usually have a reason. Yeah.
And this is now the Friday mindset part of the show. I want to dig into your journey, your mindset, and the moments that have really shaped you. Ron, what has bodybuilding taught you about life?
Mm, not to quit, to be disciplined, to, if you want something bad enough, then you gotta sacrifice and be disciplined for it. Um, in my case, I found something that I was good at, and I think it's, if you find something that you're very good at, that you excel in, that you have a you know, talent for, to go after it. That might just happen to be bodybuilding. It could be, for other people, it could be other things. And so, um, I think that's what it taught me as well. Is it's a lot of bodybuilders might get the wrong, the people might get the wrong idea, and stereotype them as being like, you know, meatheads or dumb or stupid. But a lot of bodybuilders are very motivated people in other areas of their life too, because that kind of discipline you can take and you can use in other area of your life. If it's, whether it's business, or whether it's school, or whether it's a way of being able to balance things and get things done, that apply in bodybuilding, that applies, but it can apply. You can use that same approach for other things in life too, that you try to accomplish. Whatever it is, if it's earning a degree, if you're a business and you're trying to improve from year to year, um, it's just small little steps every day that you have to do, that you got to complete, that will pay off in the long run. And I think with bodybuilding, that's something that you see. You don't get the instant gratification. It's it's something that you get down the road by taking small incremental steps every day, and making successful. I tell people that, I said, you should just check off every day that you do well, check off every day. And pretty soon those daily wins turn into, turn into weeks, turn into months, turn into years. And then you can look back and you say, well, I made all this progress because I was so consistent. So I think that bodybuilding, that's what I've gotten from it. And I think that you can apply that same approach to other things in life.
I love that because it's all about the journey, not the destination, but the personal development throughout the journey.
Right.
And if there was like a young Ron Stevens watching this video right now at home, what would be the best piece of advice you would give him?
That's a good one. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a lot of regrets. Maybe I would have started online coaching earlier. Um, I think that I'm kind of late to the party, but I think that I have a lot to offer people. I have a lot of expertise, a lot of background, and I'm realizing that's something that people are doing now, that and I can reach a lot more people. Now I've been able to reach a lot more people than just the people I would train at the gym. You know, well, I would probably have my younger self maybe do more investing and stock market and things like that. Maybe something outside of bodybuilding. I would probably do more investments when I was younger instead of just trying to get by and live. But I had a family, and I didn't have the opportunity necessarily to do all that. But as far as bodybuilding goes, I think my journey in bodybuilding has been a good journey. I'm proud of what I've done, and I'm 56 right now, so, and I've still been able to maintain this kind of level of conditioning and elite level fitness. And so I think that's due to my years and years of being consistent and be taking things step by step, not overdoing things, being very conservative with my approach, with my bodybuilding approach, and just like I said, taking steps every day. And a lot of people have flamed out, and a lot of people have not been able to go this far as I have. And I think that's just due to my perseverance. And so I take that. I would tell myself if I was in my early years to, don't rush it, don't push it. Yes, you know, be consistent. I would tell them to stay away from some of those exercises I got hurt from. But I got hurt because I pushed it for so long, and I think it was more wear and tear than anything else. Um, and so yeah, that's what I would say.
I love that. And Ron, there's a young kid out there watching this right now, and he's looking up to you, and he wants to do what you do today. I mean, what's the best piece of advice you can give them?
Well, it's funny you say that because I do get a lot of teenagers and kids in their 20s, early 20s coming to me, and so they see all this stuff on the internet and they read all this stuff and they want to look like I do tomorrow. And so what I always tell them is learn how to train consistently first. Learn how to eat consistently first. Work on those factors first before you try to do other things or try to rush the process. Because a lot of people on the internet and social media, they push other things that they shouldn't push necessarily, and they should be more concentrated on. Because back when I first started, all we talked about was training and nutrition. That's what we talked about. And train harder, eat better, kind of thing. And so I tell younger people, that's what I tell them. I said, train harder, eat better, eat X amount of times per day. Because a lot of young people have no idea. They just don't. They go by what they hear, what they read. And so to hear it from someone like me that's done it I think it's better. It's a lot better. And so I give them more of the approach of learning all the basics first, and doing those basics for a long time, you know. And those who want to do contests, I usually tell them, go to school, have a trade, go to college, get all that stuff done first before you jump into shows, because you don't want to put all your eggs into one basket. You have to have a a diversified life and a balanced life. Don't, because I've talked to some people that just want to be bodybuilders. I'm like, no, don't do that. You know, don't do that. You wanna you want to have other things going on too in your life, not just that.
Ron, with that being said, I mean, what has been the biggest driving factor for success in your career?
Biggest driving factor. Um, Wanted to be good at something, wanted to be good and successful. Wanting people to. I didn't do it for like when people get ready for contests or bodybuild. A lot of times they do it for their ego, or they think they're going to meet girls, or it's more ego driven. Mine was never that case. I just wanted to improve on something I was good at. I found that I was good at it, and so it was my goal to try to improve on that and just get better every day. Um, so that was my main main focus. Um, Not for other reasons that are ego driven. Of course, people say things to you, and they give you attention or whatever. They look up to you, or they have fans or whatever. Sure, but that was not my reason for starting it. My reason to start it was, like I said, just to I was good at something. I found I was good at it, and I wanted to improve and get better.
I love that because you keep on stacking those small wins on top of each other. You're going to get that big win, and then you become 1% better every single day. 365 days later, you'll be 365% better in a year's time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the way you have to look at it. You have to look at it the long approach.
Mm-hmm. I like to say, look at it like in decades, not just a couple months or something like that. You gotta look at stuff like in the distance. Ron,
Yeah.
what kind of legacy do you want to leave?
Hmm. That's a good question. I haven't really thought about that. Hold on one second. I'm just gonna walk
Go
in the
for
other room. Um, Legacy. I don't know. I would say just to, most people that know me, most people that I'm friendly with, they they all view me as somebody who is very consistent, who is always in shape, who never lets off. Um, and so I take pride in that. That's kind of like my legacy is, as I did the right way. I went to school. I got educated. I got certified. I've been training people for 30 years. So I'm one of the long OG trainers. So I've been there, done that for a long time. So I take pride, and I think my legacy would be somebody who was just, very consistent for a very long time, always in shape. Um, never slouched, never, took time off, even through injuries. I persevered and got through injuries, major injuries that would have retired most people. That I kept on it, stayed on it. And so I'm proud of that. And I think if you would grab somebody who knew me and say, what would be the first thing that you would say about him? I think they would say that.
Yeah, it seems like you have a lot of people that look up to you.
Um, I don't know. I, I'm surprised sometimes because I don't really look around and see, but I think I have a pretty good following, at least through friends of mine and some other people around the gym. I train at Dragon's Lair in Las Vegas, which is like a pro bodybuilding gym. And, I have a lot of people, I think that they might not say that, but I think they probably look up to what I've done and, um, you know, um, and my, accomplishments they recognize and so forth, and then I'm still going at it, all these years. Like, I've done 65 shows. I think most people say, wow, that's a lot of shows. That's a lot of dieting. I've dieted, the majority of my life.
Yeah, no, it's truly remarkable what you're doing, and health is a long game. What does fit for life really mean to you?
Well, I think what it means to me is just, being staying on top of things. I think as you age and you get older, you want to, um, it's more important than ever because, I train people who, are older, but also I run into some people and they're like, yeah, man, I used to be in your shape when I was your age. I said, well, how old are you? And they're like, I'm 44 or something. I'm like, well, I'm older than you actually. So they're like, what? How old are you again? And so I tell them and they're like, that's, that can't be true. I said, well, yeah, it is true. So, when you're older, you got to stay on top of things more. You can't, things drop faster when you're older. Your endurance drops faster, your energy drops faster, your conditioning drops faster, your strength in the gym will drop off faster if you're not on top of it and stay on top of it. So as I've gotten older, I've noticed that's something I've had to hold on to tighter is stay on top of everything and don't let things slide. And I don't. I'm on top of it. So, and I preach that to other people too. Some of my other clients who are in their 40s and 50s, I'm like, yeah, you can't, if you can't just blow off a couple weeks. There's a large drop if you do that. You got to stay on top of things. If you want to maintain what you want to maintain and look as good as you want to be, you know,
Yeah, that is a key takeaway right there. Stay on top of your health at all times.
at all times. I tell people to get their blood work done. I tell people to go to their cardiologist, especially older men, and get everything checked. I tell people to go get their calcium score checked. These are all things that I do on a regular basis that I have people do. Some people that I've never worked with before, I make sure they go get their blood work done, so I know where their starting point is. If they have any, issues with their cholesterol or their testosterone levels, things like that. I make sure they get everything checked, especially older men. Um, and women too. I train women also, but I focus on men. Over the years, I've shifted. I used to train a lot of housewives, maybe 15, 20 years ago. And now I've kind of shifted more towards more men. And especially online, it's like a lot more men than women. So, um, yeah, so that's where I'm at down with that.
And Ron, as you know, the show is called Every Day is Friday, and Friday has a special energy, whether it's freedom, excitement, or just feeling of accomplishment after a long week. Ron, I want to hear from you. What does Friday mean to you?
Friday means to me it's the end of the week. Yeah. So hold on a second. I'm just gonna get my charger. My phone's kind of going down a little bit.
Yeah, you got to bring
I,
that
I,
Every Day
I,
is Friday energy into everyday life.
I wish every day was Friday. I guess Friday feels different, right? Everybody's happy on Friday, right? It's payday. Um, it's time to go out with friends or to watch your favorite show on TV or something. Friday for me, well, Friday for me usually is looking forward to the weekend, and I usually maintain a pretty healthy diet all week. I would say I maintain like probably a 90-10 diet, 90% healthy, 10% off. So on Saturdays, I go out for sushi every Saturday. So that's what my Saturdays look like. Fridays are kind of like, hey, one more day and you get to have sushi.
I love that. And, all your information will be in the description down below, but I want to make sure that people know where to find you. Where can they follow and support your work?
You can follow me on Instagram, Ron Stevens IFBB. So I have actually a YouTube page also where I give away some tips and some advice. Also TikTok too, but primarily it's all Ron Stevens IFBB. That's
Mm-hmm.
all of them. It's all that. It's all one word, and so all platforms are that. Um, so Instagram is probably the best. I have an intake form if you like to contact me if you're interested in training. And my intake form is on my Instagram, and you just click onto it. It's a type form. Click, and then it goes directly to Ron Stevens Fitness Coaching. And then I usually I set up a video chat and we go over everything, like an hour-long video chat where I describe my services and what I could do for you individually. So that's how people usually get a hold of me, if not through referrals. So if you are interested in working with me, I have a free ebook that I send out too. It's like a 7-day quick starter ebook. I give that out to people if they DM me or message me. I give that out for free, and so that's the best way to get a hold of me.
Like I said, it'll be in the description down below, right below in the description. And that's a wrap for this episode. I appreciate you sharing your stories and experiences.
All right, Matthew, I enjoyed it. I enjoy talking with you and talking to, hopefully people will hear this and get some inspiration. And, I'm all about helping people now, through my journey. I've been training people for years and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy people transforming their lives. And it's when I have people that really, really do well, I take that personally, and makes me feel good that I'm actually able to help people transform their lives. So it's not all about me. I know we talked about me a lot in this podcast, but in my mindset, but I enjoy giving back, and I enjoy training people. I enjoy helping people. I get a kick out of it. And like I said, I take it very personal when I'm helping people. It becomes a challenge for me to help people to adjust their lives to their, what their lifestyle is, to their family, balance, keeping it all together so they could make progress and look better and feel better and live longer, live healthier and longer.
That's what it's all about, and then to everyone listening at home, stay tuned for more amazing stories on Every Day is Friday Podcast 365. If you enjoyed this, make sure you follow, share, and keep that Every Day is Friday mindset going. Stay inspired and make every day feel like Friday. Until next time, everybody.